Welcome to Front Office Pros. We are here at Week 13 to give you our starts and sits for the week.
Hike!
Joe, why don't you start us off at the quarterback position? What's your smash play?
Hey, I'm smashing Tua this week. He gets to play the worst secondary in the NFL right now, and that is the Commanders. Ever since they made the trade, they traded away Sweat, Chase Young. This defense has just been an absolute sieve. And just a couple of weeks ago, Commanders made Tommy DeVito look like really, really good. I mean, he had over 200 yards passing and a few touchdowns as well. And if DeVito can do that, I can only imagine what this high-flying Miami Dolphins offense is going to do. And since week 7, Commanders have allowed 16 touchdowns. And Tua, I think, has a great chance to be the quarterback one on the week.
Yeah, so my sleeper play at quarterback this week is going to be Russell Wilson. This might be the first time we brought his name up, Joe, this year. Over the past 4 weeks, the Houston Texans have allowed the opposing quarterback to be a QB1 on the week. And this season, Russell Wilson, he hasn't put up great stats, but he has been a QB1 4 times this season. I believe Russ has a solid floor and a potential high ceiling based on the matchup. I'm going to play him instead of Trevor Lawrence versus Cincinnati, Jared Goff at New Orleans, and Kyler Murray at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like it. I think this is the first time. It's been a tough roller coaster ride of the season for the Broncos, but finally on the right side of things.
So who do you got as your stinker for quarterback this week?
Yeah, I'm going to stay in that game, Steve. I'm going to go with C.J. Stroud. It's been a great year for C.J. Stroud. He's been really good, been pretty consistent as well. But the Broncos have just been stingy against the quarterbacks and wide receivers since week 7. They've kept passers in check with the 5th lowest passing yards per attempt and also the 2nd fewest passing touchdowns in that span. We know Tank Dell's nursing a calf. It's not looking good for Dalton Schultz to play as well. He's missed back-to-back practices with a hamstring and also, left early in that game last week and did not return. So, with a possibly, couple weapons dinged up there in the matchup, I'd rather go with guys like Purdy against the Eagles or Trevor Lawrence against the Bengals.
So heading over to the running back position, my smash play of the week is running back Rachaad White. I went against the Panthers a few weeks ago and said that Tony Pollard was a stinker, and he wasn't. And, I got to own up to it. I was wrong. And that just goes to show that the Panthers' run defense is that bad. They just are susceptible to the run. Rachaad White, I think this is a cupcake matchup for him. He gets a lot of volume as it is. He's involved in the rushing and the receiving game. Look for White, I think, to dominate this divisional game. I like him ahead of the likes of Austin Eckler at New Orleans. Just doesn't look right. Bijan Robinson at the Jets, very difficult matchup. And then Derrick Henry versus the Colts.
Wow, even Derrick Henry against the Colts, interesting. But I do like Rachaad White as your smash play this week.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. Who's your sleeper play for the week at running back?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jeff Wilson. He had 11 carries last week for 56 yards. Also had 3 targets, which he caught all 3 for 17 yards. That was with Achane out. Looks like Achane's going to be out again, but there's also a chance that Mostert also misses. And if that's the case, I mean, Wilson will be the bell cow running back for this offense. With a great matchup against this Commanders defense. But even if it's just Achane out and Mostert even plays, I think Wilson's still a decent flex play, especially with the amount of teams on bye this week and the amount of limited plays you might have on your team at the running back position. And I like Jeff Wilson better than Hubbard or Sanders against Tampa Bay, A.J. Dillon going up against Kansas City, and even Kareem Hunt, who's at the Rams.
So going over to my stinker play at running back, this might be a hot one, but we're going to go with Travis Etienne. Since coming off the bye week, Etienne has been the RB38, RB25, and RB20. Dearness Johnson is getting more work in that rushing game and the receiving game, believe it or not. And in addition, Etienne did not practice Thursday due to rib cartilage injury. They're playing Monday night. You got to be really careful about holding out for him in the event. Maybe he doesn't even play. Bengals are an okay matchup on paper, but I have a feeling that Etienne could be a disappointment this week. I would rather play the likes of Zach Moss at Tennessee, Javonte Williams at Houston, and Kyron Williams versus the Browns, even though that's a tough matchup. So are you enjoying this video so far? Well, if you are, show your support to our new channel by hitting the subscribe button and liking this video. We'll be creating videos all NFL season long, so you're not going to want to miss what we have in store. But Joe, who do you have going over to the wide receiver position as your smash play?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Brandon Aiyuk. I think Brandon Aiyuk is going to smash this Eagles secondary in the revenge game for the 49ers from the playoffs last year where Brock Purdy, got dinged up in the game and they just couldn't compete without him. Aiyuk is the deep threat for the 49ers passing attack, and the Eagles have been giving up big plays in their secondary. Since week 7, the Eagles are tied for the most receiving touchdowns allowed to the perimeter wide receivers. And Aiyuk has also caught a touchdown pass in 3 straight games. Really like this matchup, and I like him better than Evans, Michael Pittman, and Keenan Allen.
I already know you think the 49ers are going to walk all over the Eagles and show they're the best team in the league. I already can see it now.
I wouldn't say walking all over, but I do like the 49ers in the game. I think they're going to potentially out-physical them.
All right, Joe, I got a wild one for my sleeper play of the week, and it's going to be Jerry Jeudy. I know I'm saying Jerry Jeudy. It might be crazy, but if you need a dart throw, I think Jeudy may be the guy. Jeudy has yet to be a wide receiver one on the year. He hasn't been on the same page with Russell Wilson. He just really has been a major disappointment. In some leagues, he's probably not even on anybody's roster. In other leagues, he's buried on your bench. If you have him, I would play him. I think he's got a great matchup. I would play him ahead of the likes of Drake London at the Jets, Christian Watson versus the Chiefs, and Chris Godwin versus Carolina.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy definitely has been disappointing, but I do think if there's ever a game he's needed and potentially used, it could be this matchup.
So, Joe, going over to the stinker play at receiver, who is it?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Puka Nacua. I just think he could be in for a down game against the Cleveland defense, which has been pretty stingy. I know the Broncos were able to move the ball against them last week, but I'm not so sure that the Rams will be able to, especially with their O-line. I think the Broncos O-line is better and played a big part in them slowing down Myles Garrett in that pass rushing attack. Not sure the Rams will have that same success. And even if Ward is out again, the Browns have decent enough corners that I think could also help slow down Nacua and Kupp in this passing attack. And, I like the likes of Adam Thielen, DeAndre Hopkins, and McLaurin better than Nacua.
So going over to the tight end position, my smash play of the week is Dalton Schultz. Now, I know he may not play due to that hamstring injury. He only played at 48% of the snaps this past week. But if he does play, I believe he will smash against your Denver Broncos, Joe. Although they have been better, they have allowed a tight end one finish over the past 3 weeks as they are vulnerable over the middle. So for me, I would fire him up. You have to monitor his situation, but I would play him ahead of the likes of Evan Ingram versus Cincinnati, Pat Freiermuth after his crazy day last week, but him against Arizona, and then David Njoku at the Rams.
Wow, still firing up over Pat Freiermuth, versus the Cardinals, in which they gave up all the 2 touchdowns to Tyler Higbee, who hadn't been used all year.
Yeah, well, what can I say? Joe, going over to your sleeper play for tight end week this week, who is it?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Juwan Johnson. He's coming off a game in which he had 7 targets. Turned out to be 4 for 45. That's pretty much the tight end landscape these days. But he's got a good matchup against the Lions this week. He also had 5 red zone targets over his last 4 games. Olave is in concussion protocol. He is trending up to being able to play, but it's, still got to clear the concussion protocol. Shaheed is going to be out. Michael Thomas is out for the season on IR. So I think Juwan Johnson's, due for a larger role in this offense, and feel like he's really been the forgotten man. There was hype in before the season, then he kind of got injured, but I think he's going to come back and finish the season strong here. And I like him better than your guy, Dalton Schultz, Steve.
Wow, that's shocking.
Taysom Hill and even Logan Thomas.
Boy, I don't know about that, Joe. Might want to revisit that one. But going over to the stinker play for me this week, it's going to be tight end Kyle Pitts. He's been a major disappointment all year, and yet again, he's currently the tight end 18 on the year. He has only had 2 tight end one finishes. For a tight end landscape that is so barren you could think that the talent that Kyle Pitts has, that he'd be able to strung up more tight end 1 finishes than 2. I mean, that's just horrendous. I think the Jets are going to smother the Falcons. And right now, Pitts isn't even the best tight end on his team. It's Jonnu Smith. He's going to score more fantasy points than Kyle Pitts. So if you have him still, I think he's just got such a name. You probably, most leagues have him. I think all leagues I haven't seen anyone drop him. But I would play the likes of Hunter Henry versus the Chargers revenge game. I kind of like him as a sneaky play this week. Tyler Conklin versus the Falcons, and Taysom Hill versus Detroit.
Interesting with your Hunter Henry call. I mean, he's been an absolute disappointment since week 2. Those first 2 weeks, he got touchdowns, and then he's just been absolutely irrelevant. But do you have faith in Bailey Zappi to get it done?
I mean, I'm putting it out there, aren't I?
I guess so. That's pretty bold by you.
Yeah, I know. So we always end the show with a stack of the week. So who's your stack for week 13, Joe?
Yeah, I'm going with Brock Purdy and Brandon Aiyuk in this matchup against the Eagles. I think the 2 of them are going to get it done against that weak Eagles secondary.
Yeah. Purdy. You know, he's going to do so great. I don't think so, Joe. My stack of the week is going to be Russell Wilson and Cortland Sutton. Would have said him as my sleeper instead of Jerry Jeudy, but I felt like that was cheat code. You know, I can't do that. I mean, that's an easy one. So that's low hanging fruit. So I had to go with Jeudy, but I like Sutton a lot. Him and Russ have just had a connection all year. It's a great matchup. I expect both to do very well.
Yeah, I like that stack. And of course, you know, if you're playing DFS or want an actual, you know, real stack, you know, Tua and Tyreek Hill, but that's just too obvious for our call out here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, they're gonna absolutely dominate. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go a little bit lower, I think those 2 guys are a good way to go for your Denver Broncos. But that does it for our start sits for week 13. We go through a stinker, we go through a sleeper, and we go through a smash play. We'll be back next week to go over week 14. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back next time.